Good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. Today, we started last week book 2 of the Spirit's book, which is the Spirit World. And the first part, which is origin and nature of spirits. Then we went through normal and primitive world, and we just started forming with ubiquity of spirits. We did a couple of questions last week, and we are going to start today on question 90. Paco, can you read for us? You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank
Because I cannot hear you well.
you. No.
No. And that's in is this in
Daniel,
this is in Portuguese.
Did I share the wrong book again? Okay. Yeah, here it is. Now you have it, right? Now you have the correct one, right?
Yes.
So question 90.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfectly. Okay. You want me to start?
Yes, please.
90. When a spirit travels, is it conscious of distance it travels and space it crosses, or is it suddenly transported to its desired destination? A spirit can travel either way. If it so wishes, it can be aware of the distance it travels, or it can completely disregard the sense of distance. It depends on the spirit's will and degree of purity.
Okay, this is very interesting. The Spirit's telling us how we travel, right? Because and in the books of André Luiz, he describes traveling, especially in the book The Messengers, which is the first book that he leaves the spiritual world, Nosolar, and comes to Earth. 2/3 of the book is his travel from Nosolar to Earth. So he's there traveling, and they are walking. And in the beginning of the book, they talk about dimming their own light so not to disturb the spirits that are there. And then as we continue his collection later, he doesn't tell us anything anymore about travel. He just talks about being here and being there, right? So for a spirit to travel with their thoughts, they need to be aware of how to understand the process, right? More evolved spirits, of course, they do this and they know how to do it. Less evolved spirits will have more difficulty, and also they cannot, you cannot think of being in a more evolved spiritual realm that you don't even know what to think to be there, right? Because when you think about traveling at the speed of thought, you have to think of going to a place right? Because how can you go with a thought to a place that you have no idea what it is, right? It's different. Let's think of us incarnate. We think about Beijing. We can, if we were evolved spirits, you can go from here to Beijing because we never been there, but we see photos, we know that it is a physical location. But for you to go from here to a place you don't even know how to describe and don't know how to think of, you can't, right? So the Spirit tells us it can be aware of the distance it travels, meaning the mentor of the messengers, which I don't remember the name, when they travel, he takes André Luiz and his companion there because it changes all the books. Hilario is not in the Messengers. Hilario is in between heaven and earth now, and he's also in domain of mediumship. Yeah. But no, the Messengers is another one, but I don't remember his name. So the mentor can travel at the speed of thought, but of course he's conducting two people that cannot. So he will travel at the speed of their spirits. In the book, I came back when brother Jacob tells the story of his discarnation and his transportation to the spiritual world. Bezerra de Menezes is there transporting the group at the speed of the group, right? Does Bezerra need to do that? No, of course not. Bezerra can be anywhere he wants at any time, right? So again, we need to understand the idea here is that as a more evolved spirit, what matters is the thought. We think of a place, we'll be there. But it has some restrictions. And when you read the books of André Luiz, there are some, in the beginning of the book, there is always a message from a superior spirit. And sometimes you see these spirits materializing in nosso lar. So from a more evolved plane to a less evolved plane, they have to materialize themselves. And you can ask, so how can they just think and be there? It goes also, you know, it has its limitations according to the purification of the spirit and the need for the spirit to be to make itself present and visible, right? Sometimes it's easier for them to use a mediumship of a less evolved spirit to present themselves in those places than to travel by itself. And we don't know exactly how and why, but that's the reality, okay, of travel with thought. Yes, Paco.
Okay, so it basically means that it depends upon the degree of involvement of the spirit.
Correct.
If the highly evolved can actually just go into that destination. But if I'm less evolved, then I'm very much conscious of a distance.
Yes.
Okay.
And you move according to your
Born in development.
Yeah, understanding of how can you move, right? You know, when we talk the other thing, for instance, André Luiz, a word that André Luiz brings to us, which is volitation, right? Which is move through the air, right? In nosso lar, he talks about transportation. If you can volitate, why do you need transportation? Because you need to know how to volitate. You need to reach a certain level to be able to volitate. Spirits that are not aware of the process and they don't know that they can. And we are going to see a similar thing in terms of in questions in a little bit further of spirits crossing walls and crossing solid objects, right? That you know, why we say that the spirit center is protected and guarded by spirits. If spirits can go everywhere, why can't spirits that want to come inside cannot? Because there are guards outside and the spirits don't know how to pass the guards, right? They don't have this ability to
yeah.
And it comes with the moral involvement. It's a combination of knowledge and moral involvement, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does matter impede a spirit's movement? No. Spirits pass through everything. Air, earth, water, and even fire are all equally accessible to them. Wow.
Yes, because we are talking here about physical matter, right? We're talking about matter that we experience here on planet Earth. Our air, earth, water, earth, fire, they're all affect our physical senses. But the spirits in the spiritual world are not going to be affected by physical fire, right? Or, yes, Paco.
Yeah, even if the point is that I understand that in a general way, but what about if the spirit is not evolved enough and still clinging to the physicality?
Yes, then the spirit won't be able to pass through everything. And also the spirit can feel the effects because it's all in the mind, right? So we spend our whole incarnation here knowing that we cannot put our hand on fire because it's going to burn us, right? It's
Yes,
not going back to the spiritual world that from one day to another we'll be aware that, fire no longer harms us. It takes a while for you to, for your
oh,
mind to acknowledge it. And first, for us spiritists, we know that it shouldn't, so it takes a while, but we adjust our minds. But someone that doesn't know, right, continues feeling and being afraid of fire or feeling. Why do we have so many spirits complaining of pain, of their sickness of the physical plane, or spirits that drowned continue feeling difficulty in breathing, and mediums sometimes receive spirits that have difficulty breathing, difficulty talking, right? There shouldn't be any impediments in the spiritual world. But for it not to be an impediment, the spirit needs to be aware of it, understand the process, right? So again, it's a combination of moral and intellectual evolvement.
exactly. Okay. Do spirits have the gift of ubiquity? In other words, can a spirit divide itself or exist at several points in space at the same time? A spirit cannot be divided, but every spirit radiates in all directions. That is how a spirit may appear to be in several places at once. The sun is only one body, yet it radiates in all directions, and its rays of light travel great distances, but it is not divided. Do all spirits have the same power of radiation? This depends on the degree of the purity and varies greatly. Each spirit is an indivisible unit, but it has the power of extending its thought without dividing itself. It is only in this sense that spirits are ubiquitous. The capability is like that of a spark, immediate its brightness so strongly that it can be perceived from every point on the horizon, or like individuals who can transmit orders or signals to many distant points in several different directions without changing their position or dividing themselves.
Yeah, here, you have to imagine in 1857, when Kardec first asked the questions and received the answer from the spirits, we didn't have radio, TV, or any means of communication that one person can communicate to several places at the same time. Nowadays, the president can be in all our homes at the same time, not being there, right? We just turn on the TV or the radio and listen to him and watch him. So he's present everywhere, but it's only one person. And the spirits are the same. It's one spirit. They don't have the ability to be in more than one place at the same time. Again, we can go a little bit deeper into that, and I'm going there. But before that, so when we talk about a spirit sending messages to several spiritist centers at the same time, it could be either the spirit doing it, because again, he can send communications like the president sends the communications. The spirit can send even different communications, right? Chico Xavier was able to write 2 messages with 2 hands at the same time, different messages. So a more evolved spirit, you can only amplify that in terms of him or her being able to send different messages to different places, right? At the same time. How? We don't know yet. But it's possible, and it's understandable, and it makes sense to us now. Now, there are cases that spirits we have the phenomena of spirits being present in two places at the same time while they're incarnated. But this is not a spirit dividing itself. It's a spirit leaving its physical body and materializing itself in another place. Okay, we have the famous case of Saint Anthony of Padua, that went to watch his father being judged in Portugal, in a trial in Portugal, while he was there. I don't know where he
was delivering a baby in the hospital, right?
No, that's
No.
not. That's
not him, no.
that's not him. That's either Bezerra or Eurípides Barçanufo. Yeah.
He wasn't.
But again, this is not a spirit being in two places at the same time consciously. It's the physical body is unconscious and the spirit materializes itself in another place and performs the work materialized. He delivered the spirit, the materialized spirit delivered the baby, right? But the physical body was in a trance, was either sleeping or in a trance. It was not acting. You cannot have a spirit, someone walking and doing things at the house at the same time, delivering a baby in another place with your spiritual body, because that would be ubiquity, and that cannot happen. Okay.
But what's the difference between the irradiating and the spirit itself?
Irradiating means
vibration, the energy.
Yeah, let's say going back to the television, right? It's the president is irradiating its message to all homes that have the TV on. It's just it's not the right word, but it's the similar concept, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, and Kardec here uses the sun, right? As an example of irradiating light to several places at the same time, but it's only one sun, right? Kardec said it has the power of extending its thought without dividing itself. Okay, so it's not the spirit that goes; it's the
exactly that's what I. It's not the spirit that goes there. It's the vibration, the energy.
Yeah, the thought is energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we arrive at the perispirit, which
is
again,
very difficult.
You know what it is, everybody knows, but at the time of Kardec, that's the first time he brings the concept of perispirit and explains what it is.
Okay. Is the spirit uncovered, or is it enveloped in a substance of some kind, as postulated by some? The spirit is enveloped in a vaporous substance, as you perceive it, although that would seem too heavy and cumbersome to us. It is sufficiently vaporous to allow a spirit to float in the atmosphere and travel through space as it so desires. As the seed of a fruit is surrounded by the perisperm, the spirit is surrounded by an envelope that, by analogy, may be called the perispirit.
Okay, so perispirit is the spiritual body, right? Paul of Tarsus brings this concept, and the other religions bring the concept without calling perispirit, but calling spiritual body since the time, the immemorial time. This is not a notion of that spiritism brought. What Kardec brought was the word perispirit, that he took it from perisperm, right?
The perisperm.
Yeah. Because the perisperm envelops the fruit, right? Not the fruit, the seed of the fruit.
The seed.
Yeah. So Kardec decided to call perispirit this substance, this material substance that involves the spirit, not the physical body, the spirit. The perispirit is associated when we are incarnated with the physical body. It doesn't surround with the physical body. It's not inside of the physical body. It's not outside. It's associated. Okay, that's important also for us to understand, because a lot of people mixes aura with perispirit. Aura is the energy that we see around us that can have different colors. That's not the perispirit. That's aura. The perispirit is the best word that we have is associated with the physical body. And the perispirit envelops the spirit. And again, we studied last week, what's the spirit? It's a flame, a spark. We don't know what, we don't have words. So this spirit is enveloped by the perispirit. The spirit always has a spiritual body, even as it becomes perfected. It's only that it becomes more and more etherealized, that at a point where the spirit is perfect, is almost as if it didn't have, but still has. Okay?
Did he coin that word?
Perispirit, yes, was
He
Kardec.
coined it. He was the one that coined the word.
Yes, and you will not find it outside spiritism. You know, if you talk to someone that is not a spiritist and you say perispirit,
They wouldn't understand.
they wouldn't understand. You know, so it's some words that we use in spiritism that we have to be careful when we talk with non-spirits. Discarnation is another one, right? If the word exists, it's in the dictionary, but most people wouldn't understand if you talk to them about discarnation. So, you know, normally the easiest way to approach is to say spiritual body, because the perispirit in the end is the spiritual body. Okay.
Did the word perispirit made in the dictionary now? Does it exist in the dictionary?
I never looked for it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not,
Okay.
because well, Anna Blackwell translated the Spirit's book in the 1800s, so she used the word there.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not a modern translation, right? The word passes is modern. It's something that it didn't exist at the time of the first translations. But perispirit, no, you'll find in Anna Blackwell's translation. So maybe from there it made to some dictionaries, but I'm not sure, and I kind of doubt it. But
I looked it up. It's not there.
there you go.
John, Carol here. A quick question regarding the perispirit. Could it also be called the dream body or the dreaming body? I don't know. I don't know. I know. Yeah, it's
Very
tricky.
good question.
I think you can call it, Carol, when you are referring to an incarnated person, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because then in a dream state, your dream body separates from your physical body and has experience in the spiritual world.
Right.
To say that a spirit that is not incarnated, that is in a spiritual world, has a dream body,
No.
not dreaming. So
Yeah, not right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying. That's great.
I like that question. Can you roll it up?
94.
94. From where does the spirit draw its semi-material envelope? From the universal fluid of each world. For this reason, the perispirit is not the same in every world. When traveling from one world to another, the spirit changes its envelope as you change your clothing. When spirits of a higher order, higher worlds visit us, do they adopt a more material perispirit? Yes, they must clothe themselves with your matter in order to be able to enter your world, as we have already said.
Okay, here are some important concepts that it's not very
Clear.
straightforward. It takes some thinking. So The perispirit comes from the universal fluid. Is that we know, right? Because it's everything that is not God and it's not spiritual principles / spirits comes from universal fluid. So if the perispirit is made of matter, it comes from this universal fluid. That's clear. Now, matter, as we understand, as the Spirit tells us, in each different world is different. There are different types of matter. So spirits changing from one world to another will change their perispirit like we change our clothes. How is it done? Kind of automatically, as far as we know. The spirit doesn't have to think about it. You know, as it changes worlds, the perispirit changes automatically. But we don't know more details than that. What we know, and that's why, you know, why less evolved spirits here on Earth are around Earth and don't leave Earth. Because their perispirit is made of Earth material, matter, and they don't know how to do this transformation, right? So they have to be associated with Earth. They sometimes, less evolved spirits, have the ability of changing their own perispirit or changing the perispirit of others around them. We see that a lot in the book Liberation. But it doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't go to the ability of them moving to a different place and changing the perispirit. More evolved spirits, the ones that no longer need to stay connected to one world, is the ones that change their perispirit as they go back and forth. There's a little bit more here, which is a concept that is not here, but I want to bring, which is the double etheric, right? Which is the outer layer of the perispirits that are the ones associated with our physical body. Our physical body is connected to our spiritual body, mainly through the 7 chakras, but in thousands of other connections. And these connections are done from the perispirit to the physical body. And the part of the perispirit that is used to do that is these outer layers called double etheric. When we discarnate, the double etheric disintegrates and stays on Earth. It doesn't stay with the spirit in the spiritual world, even in spirits that are very low level and stay at low levels in the spiritual world. Because the double etheric, let's say, it's the part of the physical body that is in the perispirit. I think that's the best way to understand why it doesn't stay with the perispirit, because it doesn't belong to the physical body, because it's not really in the physical body, but you could say, right, for purpose of us understanding the concept, right? Yes, Paco.
So you're telling me that the perispirit is made up of different layers?
Yes. It's not exactly like that.
Because
But,
one layer stays with the physical body, that's you said.
yeah, but the spirits tells us that if we think of an onion that have several layers, the perispirit is not like an onion, but we can think of it as an onion with several layers.
Okay.
You have the different bodies, right? If there are, you know, if you go to some Eastern religions, they say that the spiritual body is part of 7 bodies or things like that, right? You have them in spiritism. We know about the mental body that forms the perispirit, right? But there are other bodies, 6 or 7, I'm not sure. And it's not really our purpose here to go deeper into that, because it is complicated enough as it is, right? But it's important for us to understand here the concept that the matter that forms the semi-material, or the matter that forms the perispirit, is drawn from each world it inhabits. As it changes worlds, it changes the perispirit. Now, if a spirit that is less evolved and doesn't know how to do it, is taken, let's say the spirits that are no longer staying on Earth, are taken to a less evolved planet because of their evolutionary path, they no longer can stay on Earth. Of course, the spirits responsible for this transference will take care of the changes in their perispirit, right? The same way that the spirits responsible for reincarnation will do the work of preparing the association with the perispirit with the new physical body that is done in the Reincarnation Institute that we read in the book Missionaries of the Light, right? Yes, Paco.
So once the spirit reaches a point of evolvement, that spirit can actually go down the scale, but cannot go up the scale as the perispirit.
Sorry, go again.
Okay, once a spirit attains a point of development or evolvement, that spirit, okay, can change its clothing and go down to another level, but cannot go up above its point of attainment.
Yeah, the purification, so to say, which is not the exact word, but the purification of your perispirit comes with your moral evolvement, not with your willingness.
Okay.
The what's the opposite of purification? When you want to make your perispirit more material, let's say more close to the world, you can do that. The spirits can do that. And again, we mentioned André Luiz in the book Messengers when the mentor tells them when they're going through the lower zones, dim your light, so because we don't want to disturb the spirits here. So André Luiz, very early in this evolutionary path in the spiritual world, already learned how to reduce the intensity of its perispirit, right? I don't know. I'm waiting for you to give me the right word, Paco, but it's not coming.
No, it's opposite of I guess. So opposite of purifying is contaminate. Kind of.
Yeah, it's not, but that's not the word.
That's not a word.
Yeah, coarse. It comes from coarse, but what's the verb associated with coarse?
Coarse.
Fine.
Fine, be fine. The opposite of coarse is fine. F-I-N-E.
Opposite is the verb associated with coarse. Coarse is not a verb.
Fine. Then
you purify yourself. You make your perispirit coarser. That's it's a good word, coarse. But there was a verb associated with that.
Density? No, denser?
Yes, yes. You
Something
make
like
perispirit
dense.
That's
Density,
a good
something
word.
like.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah. You make your perispirit denser in the sense of the spirits can make themselves visible to less evolved spirits if they want to do so. And how they do that? How do they make themselves visible? By making their perispirit denser or coarser. Exactly that. So yes, Paco, answering your question, yes. More evolved spirits can make their perispirit
down, but cannot go up. Yes.
But cannot. Yeah, up is only through our moral evolvement. And again, when they come to visit us, they adopt a more material perispirit. That's the question that the spirits answers to Kardec here. Jesus, it is said that it took 1,000 years for Jesus to prepare his perispirit to be able to incarnate on earth. It is said. I heard and read somewhere, but there is no proof of that. It's just if a perfect spirit like Jesus, it took him 1,000 years to make his perispirit compatible with incarnating on earth. So you can imagine.
But that is our perception. given this dimension that it took him 1,000 years, as per our perception, given our dimension. But in his world, at the stage that he is, it's practically
Yeah, but you know, when we talk about the more evolved spirits materializing in the mediumship meetings in the spiritual world, like we read in the books of Andrea Luiz, they can make their perispirit coarser and appear there in you know, in person instead of through a mediumship. But you take them effort and time that it's not needed. It's easier for them to manifest through a medium mystic manifestation, right? That's our understanding of it.
experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look at it. We have to look at it from our perspective, definitely, but also at the same time, we can speculate how could it be in other dimensions. So
Yes.
what I see, what I perceive as 100 years, someone may not perceive it as 100 years because it's a matter of perception given the involvement. I don't know. That's I'm thinking out loud, Joe.
No, you're right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And Joan, I think you must have mentioned this before too, but all these concepts of souls and perispirits is being discussed ad infinitum in the Hinduism,
Yeah.
right? Because the Sukshma Sarira is what, from my understanding, is the same as the perispirit in Spiritism.
Yes, yes, they've been studying and talking about it for millennia, much
Right.
long before the perispirit, the spiritism. But they have some different concepts, right, that are not exactly the same as we have in spiritism, as far as I know. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't really know that much, but I know they have the concept of several different
Bodies.
bodies, and they also have different spiritual planes, right? In the spiritual realm, you have different planes: first heaven, second heaven, seventh heaven, things like that you find in some Eastern religions also. So again, the truth is everywhere, right? It's just
I know.
our interpretation
Right.
of the truth is that sometimes distorts it.
This is not I have to share this. This is very difficult, y'all.
Yeah.
It is difficult. It's difficult to grasp fully.
It's not an easy concept.
No, it's not.
And I said, when we're going to study the perispirit, and also because we don't have the complete information and understanding about it, right? We know a lot about it, but we don't fully know about it, some of the things. So sometimes it's difficult for us to wrap our head around it because of our lack of complete information on it.
And
Right.
also probably limited language. Our language could be also limited
Also,
in terms of expressing.
Yes, Paco, there's called the three, what is it called? This three bodies doctrine in Hinduism. They cover somewhat
The three bodies.
everything that we're discussing. Yeah, it's called three body doctrine, I think, in Hinduism. I mean, you'll find tons of literature about that. It's extremely close to what Spiritism is teaching, but through so you'll find more literature if you're interested in looking into it.
and it makes sense that
But it's difficult. It's still difficult.
Yes. Mhm.
but it makes sense that should be similar to spiritism, right? Because again,
Oh yeah, yes. Mhm.
the truth
Definitely.
is
The truth
everywhere.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the
Where are we?
next one adds a little bit of more complication to it. Go 95.
Where are we? 96?
95.
95. Does the semi-material envelope of the spirit assume specific forms? And can it ever become perceptible to us? Yes, It can assume any form that the spirit may choose. This is how a spirit is sometimes able to make itself visible to you, whether in dreams or when awake, and can assume a form that may be visible and even tangible. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, tangible, material, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah,
And
we just had Easter on Sunday, right? And
yeah,
there is a lot of talk about the resurrection of Jesus, right? Jesus did not resurrect because we
no,
know that a physical body cannot go back to life. Jesus materialized himself in front of Mary of Magdalene, of the apostles, even to the last talk to the 500 and something, right? That he presented his last talk. He was materialized. He made himself visible. And again, a materialization, everybody sees that is in the place, sees it. The materialization is done through the ectoplasm of mediums. Of course, Jesus, being a perfect spirit, can use,
Whatever.
yes, can, but even Jesus, for him to materialize, he has to use ectoplasm of mediums. That the mediums are unaware of it. A lot of mediums are unaware that they are donating ectoplasm. So the spirit uses it and materialize it, becomes visible or materializes, right? In terms of, in the time of Kardec, he didn't use the word materialization, he used apparition, right? If you study it in the medium's book, you'll find the word apparition, but not materialization. Materialization is something that came later with Chico Xavier and his books, but it's the same thing. So that's the first part. The spirit can materialize and appears, and we still have some phenomena occurring nowadays in some very few spiritist centers in Brazil that you have materialization from time to time, and people that are able to produce it. Now, in the case of the spirit assuming specific forms, it has to do with the moral and intellectual evolvement, right? An inferior spirit, very little evolved morally, but intellectually evolved, can assume forms and can manipulate their own perispirit to look like monsters, to look like the devil. So, you know, when they appear to us in dreams, we're not talking about materialization here. Here we're talking about the spiritual world, right? Why do we represent the devil the way it's represented mostly? Because spirits that wanted to scare us, whatever we started with this, appeared in the form of the devil, and we took it from, you know, the representation, wake up, remembering that dream and representing, you know, I met the devil during my dream, and that's how the devil presented to me. So what is this devil? It's a spirit using his perispirit, modifying his perispirit or her to scare someone. In the book Liberation, Gregorio starts talking to this lady and tells that she's a wolf, right? And she becomes an wolf. So he's able to make her change her own perispirit through her own mind. She doesn't do it consciously, but she does under the influence of Gregorio. So that's how the spirits can change their form. They can, again, make them their perispirit coarser. They can make them less luminous, right? They can appear, again, we always talk about this. If Elmo talks about his grandmother all the time, right? If his grandmother is going to appear in front of him in a dream, or even if materializes, but let's say in a dream, she has to appear in a way that he would recognize her. If she appears in front of him like a 20-year-old young lady, he's not going to recognize her, right? She has to appear in her 60s or something. Doesn't mean that that's the appearance she has in the spiritual world. Normally, we have the appearance of our last incarnation at the age we feel more comfortable with ourselves, which for the majority of people, that's in the book And Life Goes On, is somewhere between 40 and 60, somewhere, but it can be different, right? Some people prefer to look younger, some people prefer to look older. When Bezerra de Menezes appears for the spirits, for the mediums that can see him, he's going to look like he was in the pictures we know of him. Otherwise, we will not recognize it. Oh, there's a nice spirit communicating, but you know who is. But if you see Bezerra de Menezes, then you know who it is. So that's the ability that the spirits have to change their forms using their perispirit. Also, unconsciously, the mind builds our own perispirit in terms of suffering, struggling, lack of limbs. This is all from the mind modifying its perispirit. Again, there is no spirit in the spiritual world that doesn't have both arms, both legs, the head. But if a spirit has this thought that it doesn't have an arm because it lost the arm in the physical world, goes back to the spiritual world, continue thinking it doesn't have an arm, it will present itself without an arm. In the book Memoirs of a Suicide, you see the description of one of the suicides that he did so much with his hands that he chooses to atrophiate his hands in the spiritual world, and then he comes in the new reincarnation with both hands limited, damaged. You know, he built, through his guilt, he's built this in the perispirit and then transferred to the new physical body. Okay? So, again, it's a lot of information, but and we're going to stop here. We're not going to go in different orders of spirits because that's a whole new chapter with a lot of information. So if you have any more questions, doubts about the perispirit, let's talk about it, because we still have some time if you need.
The higher the spirit, let me ask you, the higher spirit, the kind of finer, F-I-N-E-R, is the spiritual, the perispirit.
Yes.
Or far more ethereal, far more finer. The
Yes.
less is far more coarse.
Yes.
Okay. Far more material, far
And that-
more dense in matter.
And that is something that we can add here, right? Physical phenomena, noises, raps, these things that started the spiritualist movement. This is done by less evolved spirits that are more associated with matter. It's easier for them to deal with our physical matter because they are closer to us. So whenever more evolved spirits want to produce a physical phenomena, they will use less evolved spirits to do the phenomena for them. Okay? That is also...
That was the beginning. At the beginning with the Fox sisters in in upstate New York, no?
Yeah,
That's
so
when it started.
they were experiencing physical phenomena, the noises, and then they were communicating. But that spirit that was communicating, because of the importance of what was happening, we can deduce with very good probability of being right that the more evolved spirits were in control of those manifestations using that spirit, because that was not something by chance. There was the beginning of something and they knew, so they had to do something, participate in that. So we can imagine that all the phenomena that was happening at the Sister Fox's houses were done by a, you know, spirit that was
Let's develop, yeah.
there. It was a less evolved spirit, but it was a spirit directed by more evolved spirits, even if it is unconscious. Maybe the spirit didn't know that it was being directed by more evolved
Directed, yeah.
spirits. Yeah, but they used him in a good sense. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? All right. So for the announcements, we have a new course on mediumship that was released by the United States Spirits Federation. You can register online and you can start watching. The first 4 classes are available on the United States Spirits Federation YouTube page. This Saturday, the presentation by the United States Spiritist Federation, it's going to be a replay of a roundtable that we had at the symposium, Spiritual Path to Mental Balance. It was a roundtable I was the moderator, and it has Daniel Assis, Kirsten de Mello, Susana Simões, Kirsten de Mello, Susana Simões, Andrea Marshall, and Dr. Anaí Fonseca. It's a Q&A on Spiritual Path to Mental Balance. So this Saturday at 11 a.m. Okay. Book club, very important. Next Wednesday, we start Paul and Stephen. So if you haven't read it, it's a great opportunity to start studying and learning and reading the book Paul and Stephen. They are going to start with the introduction plus chapter 1, Wednesday, 7 p.m. under the coordination of Daniela that is here. So you are all invited. What else we have? This Sunday, we are going to be studying the Gospel according to Spiritism. We know that it's the first Sunday, but both me and Elmo will not be available. So we'll be, Lillian is going to be conducting the studies of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Okay? We're studying prayers, which is a very nice subject to study, very important for to learn.
Sorry, the book club is what time?
7 p.m. Wednesdays.
And it's through the same link here.
Regular Zoom link.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, certainly. Thank you very much, John, for hosting. It's a tough subject, but it's a great subject. And thank you, Paco, for reading for us this evening.
My pleasure.
Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we give thanks to be together again for our studies of the Spirits book, Book 2, Chapter 1, regarding spirits. More evolved spirits can travel quickly merely by thinking. Less evolved spirits are aware of distances and solid objects. Evolved spirits can move easily through all elements in the spirit world. A spirit can send different thought messages simultaneously without dividing itself. The perispirit is associated with the physical body and envelops the spirit. A perfected spirit will be more ethereal. The perispirit will adjust to different types of matter on different worlds and planets. Again, we give thanks to our spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us. For our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, the counselors, mediums, workers, and all who are participating. We pray for inner peace, and especially now for world peace, and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center SGNY and all spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, prosper, expand, and be protected by day and by night. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to family, friends, loved ones, and coworkers. May we go forth and remind ourselves to be beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and of charity, which is love in action. So be it.